Hollywood superstar Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson are the latest to test positive to coronavirus whilst filming in Queensland. The celebrity couple have been placed into isolation at Gold Coast University Hospital after presenting with symptoms including fatigue, fever and body aches. Hanks has been in Australia for the past 6 weeks.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And on the day that a global pandemic was declared, the Australian government launched a massive stimulus package and President Trump sent markets into a spin by banning flights from Europe. Guess what made front page news?
Corona castaway.
Sleepless in Southport.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Yes, a Hollywood star getting struck down with coronavirus on the Gold Coast. But maybe that is the best way to bring the crisis home. As Seven's entertainment editor Peter Ford admitted,
it was almost some sort of notoriety attached to who was going to be the first celebrity to be diagnosed with it, and who would have thought it would be Tom Hanks and Rita, and right here in Australia.
Who indeed? And who would have thought we might be giving it to them? But more to the point, where had they been in Australia and who had they infected? The Sydney Morning Herald front page suggested Tom was to blame for spreading the disease. And inside, it devoted an entire page to tracking his movements.
Path of contagion.
Topped off with this lame headline.
Pass the handkerchief.
The Telegraph was also dogging the footsteps of the Hollywood couple and asking,
where the bloody hell were they?
Starstruck fans now fear the price of getting up close and personal with the power couple could be a coronavirus infection.
How dare they mix with the fans? But unless Tom or Rita sneezed right in your face, a 30-second selfie with them is unlikely to see you infected. All the same, they were taking no chances at Channel 9, where Rita Wilson was a guest on Today Extra last Monday.
We're absolutely beside ourselves, big with excitement.
Because she's beside us.
She is right beside us. I'm here. You are here. Welcome.
So nice to be here, actually. Thank you.
After an 8-minute chat in the studio, Rita closed the show with a song and then posed for a celebrity pic on Instagram, which is why, within hours of the news that she and Tom had tested positive, today's David Campbell was on 2GB, revealing that he and his co-host were being tested too and would self-isolate.
We all have to do the right things and remain calm and just do exactly what the doctors tell us to do.
And Campbell wasn't the only programme host to be staying away.
Hello, I'm Carl Stefanovic. Welcome to A Current Affair. Tonight, Tracy's under self-quarantine after a coronavirus scare here at Channel 9. Tracy's dressing room was used by Rita Wilson when she visited 9 this week.
And next morning on Today, Carl was back again, bravely taking viewers into the dreaded dressing room.
They tracked Rita's movements back, first of all, to her dressing room and how many people she came in contact with here.
But Alison Langdon was able to reveal it was now quite safe for future guests.
All the furniture in here is now new. They've actually come in as a consequence of what happened and replaced all the furniture.
Paranoia or extra caution? We soon had the answer, with Nine's Richard Wilkins revealing to his Today Show colleagues this morning, from home, that he had gone down with the virus despite having no symptoms.
I feel fine. I feel terrific, and yet I've obviously contracted this thing and tested positive for it.
Wilkins only got tested because he spent time with Rita Wilson last week. But after that, he too was out and about, going on Sydney's Nova FM on Thursday with breakfast hosts Fitzy and Whipper and 10's Angela Bishop. And guess what? They're now in isolation too. Meanwhile, some headlines are adding to the sense of alarm, like Melbourne's Herald Sun on Saturday.
World of pain.
Fan ban. Infected. Panic Dutton.
And this equally alarming front page on Sunday.
Corona fever.
Victorians told to buy 2 weeks' worth of food as state jumps to 49 infections.
To be fair, that was reporting advice from Victoria's Chief Health Officer, and it is hard for the media to know what to do. But what it highlights is the need for clear information and guidance. And that's why the ABC's Dr. Norman Swan and his podcast Coronacast is proving so successful. As he told 10's The Project,
we are getting 1,000 questions a day, new questions. They're not stupid questions. People are concerned, they're anxious, they're not understanding things that are going on. Should I go to the gym? And all those sorts of questions. The answer is, of course, yes, just be careful with what you touch.
Dr. Swan was also one of several in the media to chastise the Prime Minister for telling us last week we should all still go to the footy, instead of following the lead of overseas governments and banning big public events like concerts, sports games and, of course, the Grand Prix.
those large congregations of people are where you get spread, and we'll see the effects of that in 14 days from now. We can't afford those really big gatherings where you're risking significant spread.
And seems someone was listening, because within 24 hours of his warning, both state and federal governments were changing their stance. Meanwhile, TV networks have moved quickly to get rid of their studio audiences, as shows have already done in America.
Well, hello, and welcome to The View, y'all. Welcome to The View, welcome to The View, welcome to The View, welcome to The View, welcome to The View.
In Australia, 10's The Project will be going audience-free for the time being, as will Studio 10 and Dancing with the Stars, which will make it pretty hard to ramp up the excitement. And by Friday afternoon, the ABC had followed suit, with Managing Director David Anderson telling staff,
"We have suspended live audiences for any broadcast and for all locations, effective from Monday."
So, no audience for Mad as Hell, or for tonight's Q&A, where they'll have a handful of people asking questions in the studio, but sitting well apart, while all the rest will come by video link. One of the panellists, infectious diseases expert Bill Botel, will also be on video from his home, because he is also now in 14-day isolation. And as of this morning, a dramatic move by ABC News Breakfast.
We've decided that we're not going to have guests coming in to the studio here anymore, to keep them well, to keep us well, to keep all of the staff behind the scenes well. And we're still going to be bringing you the same great program. We're going to try to do a lot of it via Skype with our guests, and I reckon it's probably the best way to go.
Next step, perhaps, is for newsrooms to close, as some in the US already have.
CBS News has 2 known cases of coronavirus, so we have closed our New York broadcast center to clean and disinfect the premises.
We are hoping to stay on air, but the way things are going, it would be rash to make any promises. Maybe I can broadcast from my lounge room. But now, let's take a break from panics and pandemics and take a look at the dark arts of Fleet Street, and in particular, the Murdoch's notorious London tabloid The Sun, from the same stable as the News of the World, which recently carried an exclusive tell-all interview with one of Britain's most popular TV stars.
"I'm gay, I'm proud, and I love my incredible wife."
Telly favourite Phillip Schofield yesterday praised his wife of 27 years after revealing he is gay.
The Sun made that story front-page news and had 4 more full pages inside the paper. And it then came back to the story over the next 2 days with more intimate confessions from Schofield and his wife about their personal lives and mental health.
"I know why so many feel like suicide."
All this was in The Sun after Schofield had come out in a post on social media, which he'd followed with an emotional interview on ITV's This Morning with his co-host Holly Willoughby.
Whatever happens in the future, I'll be sat by your side, either here, in fact, come and sit here now, where you should be, because it feels too weird, and I'll be by your side forever.
Thank you, my darling, so much.
Ever and ever.
So why did the 57-year-old TV star go public after all these years? Why the sudden attack of candour? Phillip and Holly were adamant it was entirely his decision.
I think it's really important to stress as well that you haven't had your hand forced here at all.
This is my decision.
This is your decision.
This is my decision. This is absolutely my decision. It was something I knew that I had to do.
But was this actually true? Seems not. Well, not according to Byline Investigates, an independent media group, which last week claimed...
Schofield exclusive. New Sun chief Newton blackmailed Phillip Schofield to come out live on TV.
So how did it unfold? Byline Investigates claims the Sun's executive editor Dan Wootton confronted Schofield and warned him a story about his private life was being prepared. The TV star then considered trying to block publication using privacy laws, forcing the Sun to prove the story was in the public interest, which arguably it was not. But he then decided to negotiate instead, hiring a former editor of the News of the World, Phil Hall, to help him, setting a thief to catch a thief. As a result, Schofield no doubt got a far easier run than he would otherwise have done, including supportive comments from The Sun's Dan Wootton, who's also gay, on his London radio show.
He has done an incredible thing this week, but he also has to realise that coming out is just the start of his new life. So I salute him for that bravery. I support the decision he made today.
So, what do we make of it all? Byline dubbed it blackmail journalism, while actor Hugh Grant, whose phone was famously hacked by Murdoch's News of the World, tweeted simply,
Don't buy The Sun.
Meanwhile, the director of Hacked Off, which represented scores of News of the World phone hacking victims, condemned The Sun in a statement which began,
"Relying on blackmail to force people with no record of wrongdoing to reveal personal and intimate details of their private lives is gutter journalism of the lowest order."
Not everyone agreed. Some on social media hinted there was more to the tale and suggested Schofield had got off lightly. And Dan Wooden took to Twitter to claim Byline's story was, quote, entirely untrue. But no one else has disputed it, and the story has all the hallmarks of the News of the World's MO, which is not surprising, because that's where Sun editor Dan Wooden, Sun editor-in-chief Victoria Newton, and News UK boss Rebecca Brooks all learnt their trade. Indeed, according to Byline, whose editor worked for Brooks at the News of the World,
the Murdoch blackmail model was pioneered by Rebecca Brooks, of whom Ms Newton and Mr Wooden are protégés, when she became editor of the now-closed News of the World in the year 2000.
The News of the World, of course, was shut down by the Murdochs in 2011, just before Rupert famously told Parliament,
"This is the most humble day of my life."
And Brooks then had to front up to the Old Bailey to face charges of hacking phones and corrupting public officials. But she'd always been Rupert's favourite. And after her acquittal, she was welcomed back to News UK and promoted to run the show. We're glad to see she's keeping the grubby art of tabloid journalism alive. Well, actually, we're not. After the Leveson inquiry, a massive police investigation, all those court cases, the multi-million-dollar payouts and everything the British media went through, it is appalling that this sort of tabloid bullying is alive and well. And speaking of bullying, let's check up on our favourite subject, fake royal news, on the cover of last week's No Idea.
Meghan's cruel attack.
Pregnant Kate flees in tears.
Yes, the Wicked Witch has been at it again. And inside the mag there was more on Meghan's shock attack, with the same photo of Kate, quote, feeling shaken. So, is that the truth? Well, no. As anyone would know, if they clocked the Duchess of Cambridge's recent trip to Ireland with husband Prince William, that photo was taken in Dublin, where Kate was caught in a cosy chat with Matthew Barrett, the partner of the Irish Prime Minister. And as you can see, there was no cruel attack and not a Meghan in sight. So, where did the attack story come from? Seems it was our old friend, an unnamed, quote, palace insider, i.e. most likely, no one at all. Flip forward a few pages and New Idea had another scoop, also from an anonymous source.
Tracy's diva demands.
Yes, the host of A Current Affair, Tracy Grimshaw, wants her bosses to build
a secret lift from the car park so that she can go straight into hair and makeup without being seen by the general public. She sees herself as Nine's #1 host and behaves accordingly.
These TV stars, they are appalling. But within hours, Tracy hit back on Instagram to say,
absolute crap in New Idea this week. I wouldn't know anything about the lifts. Have had zero input, made zero requests.
How odd New Idea didn't bother to check if it was true. And how many stories are there with unnamed sources? Well, in that issue of New Idea, the first 16 pages of editorial had 2 pages with sourced quotes, mostly taken from old cuttings, and that left story after story after story with no one putting their name to the central claims. So, why is that? Tracy Grimshaw told her Instagram followers,
they have to make this stuff up because none of us will actually talk to them anymore. That's a good business model, isn't it? Lie to your market and piss off your main source of content.
And will our media watchdog put an end to this litany of lies? No way. Last month, the Press Council accepted Woman's Day's argument that it didn't need to tell the truth, by ruling,
celebrity and gossip magazines are purchased for light entertainment, with readers not necessarily assuming that everything presented is factual. Accordingly, some latitude is given for factual exaggeration and inaccuracies.
In other words, just go for your life, and you'll have to be really, really bad before we'll even attempt to call a halt. That's all from us tonight. You can read more on our website. And don't forget Media Bites every Thursday on your favourite social media platform. But for now, until next week, goodbye.